into that, right? HQT and the SACE folks that are, I mean, I know that you're the SACE folks, but you're not the only ones, you've got your schools that do that and whatnot. Thank you, Melissa. One more.
Lori.
I'm not starting until one more. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. We just have to say kudos to your department, because that's what we were talking about. We were talking about just the customer service and the level of friendliness, and there was like no dumb question to ask. And we felt like by the end of the year, we were pretty much solid in our understanding and what the expectations were, so.
Oh, thank you so much for saying that.
That personally means very much to me, and I hope you know that. It really does. So, we're all people. We're all people trying to solve a problem, and just because we have the ADE state thing doesn't mean that we're smarter or, infallible, because we know that we are. It's us that did this, so I want to thank you for saying that. Okay, the woot woot factor. What percent do you think got all 3 reports in last year? 98, 97,
110%.
110%. That's awesome, Jerry. Yeah. We got 99% of everybody. So that's huge, Mark Masterson, he's funny. He walks around the off, he walks around IT, talking to people and goes in, and every once in a while he'd come into our board and he'd go, "Oh my gosh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, really." And so that was it was a cool thing. It got noticed what you did. So, all right, down to business. Okay, so we did have some summer user groups, and thank you so very much for those of you that took the time. I know someone told me, Nancy Palmer, that said, I'm really happy to have these, but it's the worst time ever. It's the end of year and whatnot. So I really want to say thank you very much for the people that, actually, were able, you might have wanted to, but were able to take the time and, help us come up with some solutions. I don't think we got everything solved, but we sure did have some lively discussions. All right, can you see this? Okay, this one is, I gotta take my drink. The Arizona State Course Catalog that we did. Here's the folks that were in here, and some of the things that came out of this. We talked about, Sarah was the one that led this group. We talked about some best practices for course mapping, extracurricular activities, some Cambridge courses, and some special ed. And these are some of the outcomes, or not outcomes, but comments that we got back. I don't want to spend the time going over all of these, but I will, if you want to talk about any of these really quick or comment, we do have a little bit of extra time in our schedule today. Is there anything anybody wants to talk about or bring up on this one? We talked about some best practices for course mapping. Yeah, you want to?
You want to real briefly talk about what the changes that Montessori is
Hi, good morning. This was a really great user group. Thank you so much if you participated. A couple of changes coming down the pike, and I'm going to let you talk about the ones that are related to CTE. But those are already done. But we have some elementary Montessori courses that are coming. And we're also going to be looking at Cambridge, looking at special ed, and then we have some that we've already put in place. And Lori will talk about those. They've already been added to the catalog, and the new catalogs are on the website. So here you go, Lori. Thanks.
They are, and if any of you used Coursewalk, because I had to add all those courses. Oh. All right, we also had a very lively discussion with the AOI group. We talked about AOI course codes, and all the folks that I there's still, because we had some confusion last year, there's because we kind of had to hurry up and put it together, there still might be some courses running around out there that are just, quote, called credit recovery. The AOI group, peers such as yours, really stress the need to break those apart, you know, and do them like it's a credit recovery Algebra 1 course, and it's a credit recovery English 3 course. So if you have those credit recovery lumped together, really start thinking about, and if you need some help on, you know, helping make that happen at your level, please contact us and we'll work with you and help you with that. But you don't want to get too far down the road, because if you've certified 40 a day and then go back and go, oh well, I need to break everything apart to an Algebra 1 credit recovery, you know and I know, right? What's going to happen, you know? So, also, there was big discussion about student ownership and who reports them. If you get funding for that student, no matter what kind of configuration they are in your, what kind of courses or whatnot, the group decided that if you get funding for them, you should report them for those classes. Okay, now if there are questions that I might be oversimplifying this, and there probably are some what ifs and so on and so forth, but this is coming from your peers. We also, yay, open entry and open exit. We have a new exit type this year. Those are for those kiddos that, you know, the course really doesn't end, so to speak, just because the school calendar or just because the semester ended. So we're giving, we're working with the vendors. Vendors, don't freak out because I haven't completely published it yet. But we're putting together an OE exit type. Now, if you're going to use an OE exit type, you must pick CB, computer-based, as the instructional setting, okay? That's how we get away with that. That's how we ensure that OE is not used willy-nilly. And we can talk more about that if you want. Just give me a call, give your favorite STC person a call, and you can have a discussion about that. Notes will come out. You'll get file specs, all that, and I'll give you a good email update. I think that's about all that really there. We also talked about grades. This was another lively discussion. We were trying to answer the question of when should grades be re-recorded and what kind, and we don't have a statewide mandated grading system. So how do we report? How do we know that we're reporting the right grade, so on and so forth? Well, Arizona, as we know, is a local control state. There is no, we can't, ADE does not mandate you will use percentages, you will use standards-based, you will use whatever. And so, do you remember last year when we were kind of running around crazy and we said, uh-oh, A through F letter grades might be assigned, and might be, some of that data might be pulled from STC. Well, I marched up to A&E, R&E, and I said, hey, here's our concern. And they said, you know what, whatever it is, because, and they said basically the same words that I've said to you, it's a near local control state. We can't tell them what type of grade to report. So we're gonna have to, once again, as Ed was saying earlier, it's your data, you own it. And if, you know, I guess R&E has any questions about it, they would call you, I would hope. Standards-based grading, I think we already kind of knew this last year, and this was our workaround, but we tried really hard to, how do we standards-based grade and report that through STC? And so the group decided that pass-fail isn't acceptable. So,
It is or is not?
it is. Did I say something incorrectly? I'm sorry. Pass-fail is acceptable for standards-based grading for any of those courses. Beginning of year, and you'll have to forgive me for not getting this out to you beginning of year. Just like summer break, I didn't have one either. Communication at the LEA level, what they said, the group said, you know, what's really helped us is really involving all the other departments. And I heard this from the woot woot and good jobs, and this is what we've learned in processes and whatnot. Managing staff changes, it's really important that you come up with some sort of a guideline of what you need and what your schools are going to do, so it makes your job not, you know, your hair run around on fire. They also said an STC owner at each district is very important, so I don't know, are you it? Welcome. Course setup and SIS. They also said that it was very important to make sure that all of the components of each course that is offered, the instructional setting, the level, when it begins, when it ends, so on and so forth, is really important and should be course coding and should be involved with the curriculum team if you have one. If not, then get that master teacher on board or whatever it looks like in your LEA world. Look how tiny this one is. Peter? Remember last year we talked about summer school? Oh, okay. Nancy said, no, you talked, we moaned. We put out a survey. For those of you that came back with the survey, the working group and I, we really decided that this is so massive that we couldn't come up with some sort of, we just couldn't do it based on what we thought was happening out there. So we sent a survey, and so if you did send the survey back, thank you very much. We collated them, and the results blew my mind. And in fact, I was supposed to give it to Nancy, and I pulled a blonde moment, or a brown moment, and I did it on a CSV file, and CSV files, hello, don't take tabs. So I didn't know that, so when I saved it, I didn't get all my graphs that I was going to give her, and I haven't had a chance to catch my breath to get it back, but I will compile the results and get them out. I give you my word. So at this point, do you want to say anything, Peter? Or would you like me to do it? We've decided that at this moment, summer school is to be determined. I do want you to put a little feather in your cap, though. Please remember that what we're trying to do is not force data collections or just collect stuff just because. What we're trying to do is build a full academic progress of these students. And if I'm a 9th grader, and by the time my data is submitted, and I haven't passed at the end of the year, but I take summer school, and I'll be darned, I passed, then that student should get the credit for that. And it's not, if we just skip summer school completely, it never shows up that this student ever passed 9th grade Algebra 1. So please keep that in your mind when we think about, oh, summer school, so on and so forth. I mean, it's to the benefit of the student and the schools and whatnot. So we just gotta work on the solution, and I know it's massive. Any questions about user groups that you would like to talk about? Questions, issues raised? Yes,
I
ma'am.
want to go back to the summer school. You say TSE, is that for this school year?
It means right now, Ms. Blanco, that it is TBD. I'm gonna put my rose mask on.
So my
How about I give you my word that we will just keep communicating to you about what, like, even if I have a discussion or whatnot. Not if I just have a discussion, but, you know, if there's anything in the workings, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, you will know. Yes, ma'am.
This team over here is I.
Pardon?
This team over in my district is I.
I know it is. I know that. I know. And I understand and value each one of your positions and what you are tasked with. And I'm getting to know more and more who's an I and who's a we and who's the, you know, the lunch lady on Tuesdays and whatnot. Yes, ma'am.
I don't need that, I'm a big mouth.
Awesome. Me too.
I'm a little confused on what you just said, because at least where we are, if a kid goes to summer school, it gets on the transcript and it does eventually get uploaded. So I'm confused on what the issue is here.
Okay, well, it could be the STC data itself. As Ed Young said, and if you've ever seen Mark's architecture of the whole picture, whatnot, there's databases flying all over the place, so on and so forth, but they're stood up to be like the source of truth. And right now, if the source of truth for the student from the 9th and 10th grade, you know, Algebra 1 passing or whatnot, It could come from somebody from someplace else, the transcript. And I know Peter is working very hard on a post-secondary connection right now, which is getting the transcript visible. I might not have said that in the way that you had wanted me to, Peter. I'm sorry. But as far as STC data pulling for anything like that, achievement, it would not be reflected. Does that make sense?
No, because if I'm a ninth grader and I failed Algebra 2, and I took it in the summer school, and my data's uploaded for end of year, you got my Algebra 2 failure. So I took it in the summer and passed it, and my school would update my transcript. So when 40th day was uploaded again the following year, would it not be reflected? Or are you?
It is not, right, it's just, okay, yeah, it is not. And so we have to, as Ed was saying, we have to do a better job of pulling from one source, right? And so from that source, as far as just STC goes, we can't see that. Now, is that gonna come? Oh, yes, it will, based on what Ed was telling us is coming. Does that make sense? Okay. Anything else on user groups? Okay. Oops. Oh, I talk too much, long-winded. Okay, so what's new for STC fiscal year 2014? We've got we've got a few new exit type codes and vendors. I've reached out to most of you. I haven't reached out to all of you, but I will. Catalog updates and a team transition with the STC. Exit types, I hope you can see this. I really fretted over how to put this, but I wanted to give it to you right out of the file specs. So we have a new file specs, and if you'll notice, CF, CP did not change at all. Nothing changes. Well, the only thing that changed on content complete partial credit was partial credit or no credit was granted for this course. I got rid of the or no credit portion of that because it seemed kind of redundant, and it seemed, well, we did as a team. Got rid of that part. Still grades are required for these two. Content complete, no credit. We kind of changed a little bit of the description as well to make it a little bit more clear. Student failed or otherwise did not receive any credit for this course because no credit was offered or no credit was earned. No credit was offered. Think of your K-8s, perhaps. So if your vendor has a solution right now of giving you a CN for your elementary kiddos, you still will pull it. I mean, that is acceptable for that. Schedule change, nothing changed there, but left the school and OE changed. Well, left the school changed dramatically. Please don't shoot me right now, but we'll figure it out together. The student is no longer in the school, so all courses have been dropped. Now requires a grade. I know, you're already thinking, oh, I know. Let me talk to you just for a moment. I have spent probably an hour and a half on the phone with Dan over at Pearson. I've talked to Paul over at Synergy. I'm still working, and I talked to Katrina. Where are you, Katrina? Yep. Katrina and I had a conversation this week. I knew Kelly was pretty busy with her conference that she just had, so I haven't had a chance to talk to her, but she kind of knows about it. Yeah, so it will be an okay solution for you. What we're trying to do is create a solution where it is something that, I don't know how to say it, that is doable for you. Not just a file spec that we just throw out and go, okay, make it happen. So I'm working, it's a little bit differently this time. I'm working to provide the solution for you based on what your practices are and how your student information system is set up. It's not go live yet, but it's coming. And 40th day, we have a little bit of wiggle room, right? Right now, it is programmed in SRM, but it hit me, I don't know, Wednesday, like a ton of bricks, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't program this yet until we've got the vendors programmed. So I'm gonna back that out, but I just want you to know that it's coming. And I know there's going to be 1,000 things. Well, we don't give grades when kids leave schools or whatnot. There has to be some sort of academic progress for a kiddo. Now, if they've been only there 10 days, remember your vendor was instructed a long time ago to not even pull kids 10 days or less. If they don't have a grade because they really haven't done anything, then no mark or something is perfectly acceptable. What we do not want to happen is your vendor to provide the solution to you that says, well, if there's no grade given, then we're just going to put an NP or an incomplete. That is not fair, and that's not right. That's the state telling you what you were reporting for your kids, and that's not going to happen. You have to choose your data. You own it. Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of piggybacking on what Ed said this morning, what's the rationale behind collecting this additional data that we didn't turn in last year?
Correct. The additional data is remember, we have to go back to the full academic progress of a student. When my kiddo leaves and goes to your school, I would want my kiddo's progress of what he's done to go to you so teachers can actually, through the sleds and all of that, pull it up and get a good idea of what's going on.
So this is so that information will travel from one school to another?
Yes, ma'am.
School?
It's not there yet. We know that. It's not there yet. You know, that comes with all the sleds, dashboards, and whatnot, but we have to prepare for it. Remember last year, we prepared through blood, sweat, and tears, not to be cliche, but we did, to prepare us for all of these things that are coming, which is what our focus was last year, you know, STC. So that is the rationale. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here's how, they're saying it's going to kind of be up to us. So it will kind of be up to each LEA to determine how that student is making progress in that course. So you would be like performing at standard or,
Yep.
you know,
Whatever you decide to put in
underperforming or
there.
whatever it is, but it's up to each of us that would convey to any other school out there that would know if that student was on target or not, when they didn't actually get a grade for the course
Yes,
or a
ma'am.
credit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so even if they don't get a credit, a grade is required.
ma'am.
Okay.
And it all goes back once again to what Ed was saying. You own the data. Yes, ma'am.
Just kind of on that, when we talk about giving the no grades or the incomplete, the question that I'm getting from teachers, because my teachers are already thinking down the line, how is this going to affect my evaluation? And they're hesitant to put that NG or I in there because they don't know what that's going to look like. And I don't know what to tell them that's going to look like. Do you have any insight on how that would affect their evaluations?
I don't have any insight yet. Just to let you know, I get a full-on training next Tuesday on those teacher and principal evaluations, so I can understand and I can answer some of these questions for you. Yes.
My teachers are paranoid about what
Oh, I hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, they're smart. They're smart. They're thinking ahead, and it's their. I had a horrible time getting people to put in an I. They're like, I'll just give them an A. Well, you know what I mean, though? Sure.
I understand.
What's my reason not to give them a higher grade?
And I think through Ed's efforts, it's really going to help a lot. You know, we're still.
If you could maybe get more information at your meeting, that would be a big. I get that question like weekly.
Okay. Thank you so much. Sarah, can you write that down for us?
I couldn't hear it.
Okay, impact of grades on, you know, oh, we've heard it before, but I'll see if I can get something solidified from that group.
Teacher evaluation. What about children being enrolled for 10 days but only attend school 5 days? You know, our districts have policies based on how many days a child actually attend, not enrolled, attend when they give out grades. Is that going to be taken into consideration?
Yeah, well, yeah, if it's 10 days or less, then you don't need to report them.
Right, but what we're saying is the child's been enrolled for 20 days but only attended school for like 5 days because they
Bless her heart.
Right, we don't give grades. We give grades based on how many days they've actually been in the classroom.
So in no grade, incomplete, whatever you guys decide to send, like if you were going to send that kiddo's cum file or whatnot, excuse me, to another school, what, do you send anything for that?
No grades are given.
So a school never knows how a student does?
Right, because the child wasn't actually physically in the classroom long enough for the teacher to give her a grade.
It's kind of like this is forcing a business change practice.
So who's telling somebody other than us about about these types of things? Because, I mean, that needs to come from superintendent down to assistant superintendent and all the way down.
I thought you were talking
Okay.
about, you guys don't tell schools how to grade. Now you're telling me how to grade.
How am I telling you how to grade?
You're saying I have to give this kid a grade, an incomplete or a no grade. You're giving them a grade. Now it's going to affect the teacher's evaluation. So
That's not, we don't know that yet. We can't jump to say that an incomplete is not. We cannot go there.
But you're requiring, you're requiring a grade.
Okay. Let's move on. That's okay. I get it. Thank you so much. You know, I heard it, Sarah just attended the schoolmaster conference and she goes, Lori, oh my gosh. So,
Yeah, we had a great discussion at Schoolmaster. And I think that there are going to be more discussions at ADE regarding this left school with a grade mark required. And remember,